So I'll take you through the main concourse of Penn Station, which is below the Amtrak track level, and where New Jersey Transit trains come in and pass through the station. And it's actually a pretty nice station. A lot of people who pass through never see this part of the station underneath the tracks because they're not getting off at Newark, but this is the main restaurant concourse. And there's a main waiting room down here for both people waiting for Amtrak trains and New Jersey Transit trains. We'll just take a quick look at that before we get on the light rail. It's sort of like a little Grand Central setup with an information booth you can go up to and ask what time your train leaves and from what track. And this station's undergoing a renovation where they're gonna rehab all the benches here. And so this is the main waiting area. This shows you all the trains that are coming and going. See a couple of Amtrak trains on here. And we'll go on this perpendicular concourse to catch the light rail. They used to call this the city subway. Some people still do. Other people call it the light rail. So walk on this feeder concourse to get to the Newark subway. I'll keep switching back and forth what I'm calling it. Some of these escalators go to office buildings up above. And so here we are, Newark Light Rail City Subway. This is the lower concourse that takes you to the different tracks. And you have to buy a ticket and then get it stamped. So I've already got a ticket that I bought from one of these machines, and I'll stamp it. It's good for an hour. So there's plenty of ticket vending machines. And then these orange boxes with the green lights, that's where you get it stamped. So I'll do that. I'll show you in just a sec. Okay, so here's my ticket, and I'll just put it in here. And then it stamps the time on it. So you have 1 hour. And you carry this ticket with you, and the conductors make random checks. So here's where we're going. Just a couple of stops to the Broad Street station. Go down these stairs. I think a train is waiting for us. It's just a 1.5 car long train. So we're just taking a little yellow part. It's like a little circuit. It goes around between the two stations, goes through downtown Newark, and then there's another line that goes through Newark up to, I believe Grove Street's in Montclair, or it could be in Bloomfield. So it looks kind of like a New York City subway station, and it's the trains that go to the other line run a lot more often. But during rush hour, this train runs like every 10-15 minutes. So it's not too bad. There's a map. So we're just gonna go from here up to here. And so you can see it's much shorter than the line that goes to Grove Street. Or in the case of the train across the platform, it's going to Branch Brook Park. So I'll show you the short trip. Now right now, I'm the only person on the train, I think. There's usually, I've been on the train with like 5 to 10 people. This is during rush hour, maybe a little bit more in the morning. So the trains are nice and modern. They look like the ones that run along the Hudson River in Hoboken and Jersey City. Question mark whether there's anybody else on this train besides me, but we're headed north, and this is just the underground part right near Penn Station, but this little line comes out of the ground pretty quickly, and it only makes a couple of stops, and they just announced the next stop is the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, which is actually a very nice theater. Been there a couple times, including to see Jerry Seinfeld right here in downtown Newark. Full house. So we're gonna come out of the ground in just a second here. Go around a curve. That's the advantage of light rail. It can go around curves, sharper curves than like the heavier subway trains or commuter rail trains.
Now entering Center Street, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
It actually has to stop at a stoplight here. And so that's the Passaic River over there, and it's actually a separate town across the water. It's not Newark. So this is the stop.
This stop, Center Street.
You can sort of see over there, that's where the New Jersey Performing Arts Center is.
Broad Street Station. You must have a valid ticket.
Another passenger got on.
Please present your valid ticket upon request. Next stop, Atlantic Street.
So those are colorful new apartment buildings across the river. MacArthur Highway, very busy north-south road. Take this to meet other connecting east-west highways. So these people, a lot of them are leaving work in Newark, going home to the suburbs. Some of the downtown Newark streetscape. This distance between the two stations, it's definitely walkable, but it's a little bit longer of a walk than it looks like on a map. So it's a good 20 to 30-minute walk between the two stations, train stations. So there's office buildings, there's residential here, there's some actually historic type blocks in Newark.
Now entering Atlantic Street.
A little further west of here, where it's like
This stop, Atlantic Street.
Atlantic Street.
This is the train to Broad Street Station. You must have a valid ticket to ride this train.
That's where we're going.
Please present your valid ticket upon request. Next stop, Riverfront Stadium.
Broad Street Station is where we're headed. Now, the next stop is interesting. They still have a stop for Riverfront Stadium, which was a nice, it looked nice from the train. I never went to a game there. They had minor league baseball there. But, so they had a nice stadium called Riverfront Stadium right here by the Passaic River, but then they have knocked it all down. Like, not enough people were going to the games.
This stop, Riverfront Stadium.
And
you must have a valid ticket to ride this train. This is the train to Broad Street Station.
And I don't know how long the stadium stood for, maybe only like 10 to 20 years. It was right there, and a nice minor league baseball stadium, but they've knocked it down, I guess, to free up the land for redevelopment, but now it just sits there as a wheat-filled lot. So, kind of the story of Newark. So here's the Broad Street station. Get a better look when we get off the train. It has its own little stop here. This is where New Jersey Transit trains come, and maybe someday trains will go like they used to. They'll go all the way to places like Easton and Allentown and Scranton, Pennsylvania. Here's a New Jersey Transit train. It's headed east for either Hoboken or Penn Station in Manhattan. So here's Broad Street Station. I'll show a little bit more of it when I get up to the train platform. But this is the little stop for the light rail system. Last stop on this line. There's a little station here, and this is the Broad Street Station, which is actually a very attractive station that was fixed up maybe 20 years ago. The people who use it mostly use it to transfer between lines, so they never actually come down through the station. And the number of people going to and from places in Newark is much less than the people who transfer at this station. So the little light rail train drives out that way, and then it'll come back on the southbound track. Very pretty terracotta around those clocks, which I don't know about the one on the left. The one on the right is not the correct time. It's more like 4:20 and it says 6:20. I don't think the other clock is correct either, but they look good. This is looking back towards downtown Newark. And near this station, there's a lot of green, weed-filled lots that could be developed. And so this is the same thing. You stamp your ticket at one of those little orange boxes there on the platform, and you can buy your ticket over here at a ticket vending machine. So we'll go into the station here, assuming it's open. There's a guy sleeping right there, which is, you know, it's a fairly common sight in Newark, I have to say. The station house is closed, but that's what it looks like. You go up these steps and there are some benches there, but we'll take the staircase up to the train. They have historical posters. Looks like they're getting a new hung ceiling here, or maybe that's a project that started a while ago. It's interrupted. And then this passageway goes underneath the two tracks. So we're going to the outbound side. And you try to keep a little bit of the historical theme with the wood wainscoting that goes up halfway up the walls of the staircase. And then we're at the platform level. A different line, this train, than the line I'm going to go on. So, some of the surrounding area, you can see Manhattan in the distance there. Busy highway that runs right alongside. Most of the people are headed west, leaving the cities of New York and Newark and Hoboken. In this clock, the track-facing side, the north side of the clock tower at Broad Street Station, does tell the correct time. And the roof needs a little repair there. And here we are looking west to the sun. Is an interesting looking older building, huge windows that you can see from the train station. I don't know whether it's an architect's office or what, but it's nice. So here we can use the telephoto to focus in on that large cathedral just to the north of the Newark Broad Street station. So here comes a train Headed for Gladstone, going west. And another train headed east into the city, or Hoboken, right across from Manhattan. So if you take this to Hoboken, you just get off and either take the PATH subway over to the World Trade Center, or you can take a ferry. But I think this is going to Penn Station in Midtown Manhattan. And it's a long train because it's going to take a lot of passengers back west. Like an 8 to 10 car double-decker train.